Well, good afternoon. I'm Ron Aaron Eisenberg, and I want to welcome you to the Global Pain Association's virtual education series. We've been doing this for many months now, an opportunity to share with you some of the stories and some of the ways in which people struggling with chronic pain can address those issues. I've spent a lot of time moderating medical programs, and I've had the pleasure of hosting this one for, as we said, many months, and I've learned every week something about not only chronic pain, but the chronic pain warriors who deal with it and those who provide ways in which to address the issue. Now, today, we're going to take up the topic, can I get disability for chronic pain, with our special guest, attorney Brooke Bure with the Packard Law Firm. And this week's sponsor is the Alamo Area Council of Governments.
Older adults are more likely to suffer from chronic pain and illnesses, making them more susceptible to addiction of prescription opioids. Even at prescribed doses, there are other risks, such as increased rate of falls and fractures. The Alamo and Bear Area Agencies on Aging have collaborated with the Texas Health and Human Services Commission to address opioid misuse among older adults. For resources, please call 210-477-3275 or toll free at 866-231-4922.
The Alamo Area Council of Governments for sponsoring today's program. They've been a great partner to the Global Pain Association. Let me welcome to our Global Pain Association virtual platform, Dr. Susan Blackwood. She's president of the Global Pain Association and has spent a lot of time not only dealing with the kind of issues we're talking about, but working on behalf of people with chronic pain. Susan, great to see you.
Well, Ron, good to see you this afternoon, and thanks to you for moderating the series since May and the Eisenberg Group for producing it. It's just been wonderful to reach so many people. We're now reaching 50,000 people through the series. And, you know, I'm just amazed because we're getting suggestions from our viewers on what kind of topics they have. And just like you said, every week I've learned something new and something that's been very resourceful when it comes to helping people with chronic pain and their caregivers. We're finding every day alternative ways to help them manage their pain, and we can't be more than grateful for people like our sponsors. ACOG, look how many services they offer that nobody really knows about. So hopefully people will stay tuned and find out more about those services. And thank you again, and I'm looking forward to our topic today.
Well, I am too, and I thank you. Our special guest today is attorney Brooke Bure. Brooke at packardfirm.com is how you can email her, and we'll have that on the screen in a moment. She is one of a handful of Social Security disability attorneys working in this area. She's been with the Packard Law Firm since May of 2018. As a hearing attorney, Brooke represents an average of 25 clients in administrative hearings every month. She's represented clients in 10 states and across the state of Texas. Brooke says a Social Security disability claim can be a complicated and emotional process that can take months, even years, which is pretty disappointing and daunting when you think about it. So, Brooke, tell us about the definition of disability according to the Social Security Administration, and welcome.
Good morning or good afternoon, and I really appreciate you guys having me here today. So, the Social Security Administration defines disability a couple different ways. The main thing that they're looking at is whether or not you can work full-time and be on task doing your job 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, with less than 1 or 2 absences per month, and you're on task doing that job at least 90% of each work day. There's also another kind of disability for children under the age of 18. And in those instances, we look at whether or not there are marked or extreme limitations in one of 6 different areas of function to see if they're not functioning essentially like a normal healthy child would function, and if those deficits rise to the level of disabling for them.
What are the differences between SSI and SSDI, and what do they mean?
So The way that, so there are two different ways to get disability. You can have SSI or SSDI. SSDI is the one that you're probably most familiar with. That is Social Security Disability Income. And that is based on your previous work history, how long you worked, how much you earned, and why, and whether or not you can go back and do that type of work again if you're over the age of 50, or if you can do any kind of full-time work in the national economy. That is the one that when you hear people talk about back pay and things like that, it's going to be a bigger payout program slightly. It's more, the payout schedule is more structured to reflect what you used to earn. Now, Social Security disability is not everyone's eligible for that, because obviously you would have had to have worked a certain amount of time or had an employment history that's going to make you eligible for that. So with Social Security income, that covers pretty much the everybody else, the people who are have never worked or worked a far time in the past, or maybe their income was not tracked through the federal government, or they, for whatever reason, they don't have any income in the past for the government to review and put them through the disability system. So they are through their own system, SSI, and that is going to be that's a flat rate payment of around $780 per month each, and that number does fluctuate on a yearly basis depending on legislative changes and administration changes and federal law. Both of these programs are going to have the really big ticket item that a lot of people with chronic pain are looking for, and that is Medicaid. Both of these programs, no matter which one you apply for or which one you win, some people can even apply and win both. Both of those are going to come with Medicaid health insurance coverage. So that's the big deal that I think a lot of people are looking forward to getting, is getting that reliable medical care and that reliable medical coverage that the government offers through both programs.
And do they provide back pay?
SSI does not provide back pay prior to the date of your application. So SSDI is going to have more opportunities for you to get back pay. Now, several years ago, the law used to be that you could get back pay starting from when you originally became disabled, your onset date, and when you were filing for SSDI. So that could mean that you would have been entitled to 5 or 6 or 8 or 9, 10 years of back pay payments that would come in various lump sums. That is no longer the law. In the past few years, the government has changed that, so that the way that back pay is structured now, if you are eligible and if the government says you are found to be disabled as of the day of your onset date, you get back pay that's calculated based on either the day of your onset disability or 1 year prior to the day you applied, whichever is closest in the future. So if it's an easy way to think about it is, if the government's paying you money, they're going to find a way to do it with the least amount of money out of their pocket possible. So you do still get back pay, and in some cases it can still be a significant amount with the SSDI, but it's not the windfall lump sums that people have heard about that occurred in years past.
Now, talk to us a little bit about whether chronic pain is considered a disability, and how does the Social Security Administration decide what is indeed disabling?
So let's start with, is chronic pain a disability? And the famous lawyer response to all questions is, it depends. And it depends on your diagnoses, on your symptoms, and on your medical records, and how thorough those medical records are in reflecting the severity of your pain. In order for something to be found as a severe medical impairment, and we call them MDIs, they have to be restricting your ability to work. Really, when it comes down to Social Security benefits, they want to know how your impairments are affecting your ability to hold down a full-time job at any physical level that you're capable of. And if you are unable to work, then we start looking at the severity of those issues and where those things happen. So there's kind of a 5-step process that the government looks at. The first thing they're going to look at is, are you working? It does not matter how severe your impairments are. If you're working full time or earning over a certain amount of money per month, and for 2020, that amount of money for a non-blind applicant was $1,200. If you were earning over that amount of money, it did not matter how disabling your impairments were, you are not eligible. Step 2, if you're not working or you're earning under that amount, we look at if your impairments are severe. Severe is going to be impairing your ability to function on a regular basis. Number 3 we look at is, does your impairment meet or equal a listing? Listings are very, very specific and very difficult to meet for most people that have things like chronic pain. For instance, there is no listing for fibromyalgia. There is no listing for a lot of the different types of multiple sclerosis. There is not going to be a listing for significant pain for lumbar spine issues or post-laminectomy syndrome. There's no listing for certain types of rheumatoid arthritis. So whenever you have a client that has chronic pain, a lot of the times they're not going to meet or equal a listing.
But can you still get covered?
Yes, absolutely. There is another way to get covered if you do not meet a listing, and that is sustainability. And that is if the judge can tell, based on your medical records, if you are unable to stay on task 90% of a workday and you're unable to maintain a regular schedule at work where you're working on average 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and not missing work more than 1 or 2 days per month. That is a sustainability argument, and that's where about 90% of our clients are going to win their cases if they have chronic pain.
Now, you've talked a bit about what the benefits can be. How long does this take from when you apply to when you may see an approval?
This is the part that's not fun to talk about. It can take years, and there are a variety of reasons for that. So there is a process by which you file for security, and that is your initial Social Security, and that is your initial claim. About 20% of people get approved at initial stage. It is a very low number, I know. So then at that point, you have the opportunity to file for a reconsideration. This can take another several months. Then after reconsideration, if they determine that you have not added more medical records or that your impairments are not severe enough to meet their definition, you have the opportunity to file and request a hearing in front of a judge. And that is when you would meet someone like me. Once you are at the point where you're going to be in front of a judge, you do have the opportunity to have an attorney with you or a non-attorney rep and have them assist you in presenting your case to the judge. This process can take another several months after the reconsideration process. And then the decision can also take several months after the hearing. 90% of my clients, we don't know if we've won or lost on the day of our hearing. It can be months after that. Now, the reason for this timeline, which seems outrageous, is it's not all red tape and the evil federal government. A lot of this it's simply a very complicated process and a very, very large number of applications, if people are doing them on their own, get rejected out the gate for having technical errors or simply just not having the type of information in them that a client would need in order to have their claim approved.
Yeah, apparently 80% are not approved initially.
Yes, sir.
That's a big number.
That is a very big number, and it can be for a lot of different reasons. A lot of people, when they attempt to file on their own, they jump into the website or they call the Social Security's toll-free number or they go down to a local office in person and they attempt to start filling out all these papers and doing all this paperwork, and they realize they don't know what the questions are asking. There are work history forms. There are third-party representative forms. There are options to have statements from your doctors, medical source statements, treating source statements. You have to know where your doctors are. You have to be able to order and get all of those records, some of which are out of state or even out of country. We have a lot of clients in Texas, for instance, that it's simply cheaper and easier for a lot of my clients that live in the border regions to go over across the border into Mexico and get their MRIs and X-rays. And it can be very difficult for a client on their own to try to reacquire that medical and then get it translated into a form that Social Security will recognize and then review. If these things are not done correctly, Social Security simply just will not look at the forms.
Now, there are several ways to apply for benefits. We've got a slide on the screen on that. Can you talk a bit about it? Applying for benefits.
You can apply for benefits 3 different ways. You can go through the government, you can go to the website and fill out all of the documents online. You can do it over the phone. And I believe that they're not currently doing appointments in person due to the coronavirus, but that is normally another option that is available. And of course, the final option is you can contact an attorney. Social Security disability law is a very, very niche, small area of law. Not a lot of lawyers are going to do this type of law. Not a lot of lawyers even know that it exists. It is not a very common area of practice, and it is a federal area of practice. And so there's not going to be a lot of lawyers that specialize in it. So if you do choose to go through a lawyer, you can't, I do not recommend that you call up your criminal defense attorney or your family lawyer that helped you do your divorce to help walk you through this process, because it is a very complicated process, and representatives are all individually registered with the federal government, with the Social Security program system, to get into there and access their information and file things easier. So it does definitely cut out a lot of red tape as far as just trying to get your forms in correctly and seen by the program and not just dismissed out of hand.
Now, the slide on screen talks about why I need a lawyer. The other thing I'd like you to address, in addition to why you need a lawyer, is how do you pay for it? Most people think, oh, I'll never be able to afford this.
So that's the good news about the type of law that I practice, is in most situations with most law firms, we use a federal guideline type of payment program. And what that is that if you agree and sign the contract that we get paid through Social Security through your benefits and you don't owe us any money directly, that payment is either $6,000 or 6% of your back pay only prior to the day of your decision, whatever is the smaller of those two numbers. Now, what does that mean? $6,000 still sounds like a lot. What that means is that no matter what, moving forward from the day of your decision, you are not paying us out of pocket for anything. There are a few different types of filing and paperwork fees. Often those can be waived or removed entirely, depending on your situation. And moving forward, for instance, if a judge decides at the hearing, say you have an onset date in January of 2018, and the judge says, okay, well, I think that you're disabled. I have found you to be disabled, but however, I'm going to issue a partially favorable decision. And I say that you're only disabled as of today, December 5th, 2020. What does that mean for me? It means I don't get paid, but you still get all of your benefits going forward. That does not interrupt anything. And I only get paid out of the money, the back pay money, money that you would have been entitled to prior to the day of your hearing.
Is that decision appealable?
Yes, decisions are appealable. There are a variety of reasons you would like to, a lot of people wish to appeal or refile a decision, depending on whether or not you are filing under a SSDI. We also call those Title II claims, or an SSI, Title 16 claim. A lot of times claimants want to go back and try to win back that back pay that they get. And each situation in those instances is very, very individualized. There have been situations where I have told clients, based on their medical records and based on the record that we have in front of us and the documentation we have, I would rather not get paid and then continue to move forward with their benefits than us appeal that decision and possibly put the entire decision in jeopardy.
That's very kind of you.
I'm salaried. But no, it's very important to me that the claimants have their benefits. That's why I do what I do.
Now we've got a slide up showing how folks can get a hold of Brooke Bure, and people can call you. There's no obligation, correct?
Absolutely not. We don't charge you. There's no contract signed. If you, the best way to reach me personally would be through my email address. The phone number listed on that slide is my firm's phone number. That's the Packard Law Firm. But however, that is my personal email that I use for everything. So if you have any questions for me directly, you can absolutely email me. If you have any questions, generalized questions about things like how do I file or what's my next step, those are things that the law firm will absolutely be able to direct you in that way. And what often happens is we have clients that will have already filed and they'll be at the initial process or at the recon decision. I've had a lot of clients that get to the hearing and the judge says, you need a lawyer. I don't want to do this hearing without you having representation because you're missing so much. Or there's medical that just simply is not here. Something's wrong with your file. You need an attorney. And so we have clients that can come to us at any time.
Wow. Well, I want to thank you for all of this great information. We got about a minute left for your part of the program. Is there anything you wanted to drop in as a final thought?
Oh gosh, final thoughts. Don't give up on your cases. Chronic pain is not the easiest way to get approved for Social Security disability. And I know that with chronic pain sufferers, things like fibromyalgia or MS or lupus, you can look healthy, and it's very intimidating for people to go through this process and sit in front of a judge and to look healthy outwardly. You have strong cases. If you have the medical records, if you have the documentation, you can still win a case. And you can absolutely still be entitled to benefits that you've either earned through Title II or that you're entitled to through the federal government's SSI program. Don't give up on your cases.
Hey, Brooke, thank you. Really appreciate it. Today's presentation was brought to you by the Alamo Area Council of Governments, and we thank them for supporting the Global Pain Association.
Older adults are more likely to suffer from chronic pain and illnesses, making them more susceptible to addiction of prescription opioids. Even at prescribed doses, there are other risks, such as increased rate of falls and fractures. The Alamo and Bear Area Agencies on Aging have collaborated with the Texas Health and Human Services Commission to address opioid misuse among older adults. For resources, please call 210-477-3275 or toll free at 866-231-4922.
Dr. Susan Blackwood, back to the microphone. And Susan, I want to start with something that just rocked everybody's world right before Thanksgiving. A global pain warrior who we have had on this show, who has been on the board, who has fought bravely as a chronic pain survivor and more, passed away. And I'm talking about Rebecca Christopherson. She was an amazing woman. Tell us about her.
Well, Ron, words can't express how impactful Rebecca was, both the people that were associated with her, her family, people that she helped. She was so giving, and of course, this organization. And there are many things that our board and our advisory committee want to do in Rebecca's honor. Her family's been gracious about allowing us to move forward and really memorizing some of the things that were so important to her. She wanted to start a support group, which after today's board meeting, we'll get started right away, organizing for the first of the year. But for those of us that knew her for a short period of time, we can't express in words how impactful she was to us as people. Her inspiration about how much she cared and gave to others was amazing. And yet, you know, she was our warrior. She was our chronic pain warrior in regards to how she expressed her her disease and what challenges she had had and how it affected her family and her family life, and how incredible her support group had been for her, and how she wanted to carry that on through the Global Pain Association. So go ahead.
Well, you knew she was a great lady because she was a dog lover.
And we admire that. And people can go back and look at some of her segments on our Facebook page or on our website. And for those of you that want to help Global Pain move forward just like Rebecca did, please feel free to go to globalpain.org/donate. We also have a significant story about Rebecca on that donate page. A lot of her family and friends wanted to show their love for Rebecca by helping Global Pain Association. So I hope people will do that. We're looking forward to starting next year after the next series that we have in 2 weeks, with many topics that we're going to do on a week-by-week basis. And through the donations that we get, we can make those weekly events really possible.
And the other thing, you hinted at this, but the family has asked if you want to make a donation in her memory to make it to the Global Pain Association.
So true, Ron. And we've gotten a significant number in the last few days. And we're going to talk today about how to get the word out so that people that loved, respected, and worked with her can help Global Pain Association on her behalf.
Well, that's pretty cool. Anything else, Susan?
No, I want to thank everybody again for joining us. Share this series with other people. There's so much information. I had no idea how complicated this topic was. And thanks to Brooke for coming on and giving us the thumbnail sketch, because certainly this was a topic of interest of people that have been watching and viewing our series. And hopefully they got a takeaway on how they can move forward with trying to apply for this.
Yeah, she did a great job. She did a super job. Well, thank you, Susan Blackwood. Appreciate it. Now, for those of you who are wondering what's up next, in 2 weeks on December 19th at noon here on Facebook, we'll be talking about physical therapy to treat chronic pain. And if you have questions you want to ask, if you've got topics you want to suggest, email us at info@globalpain.org. And on behalf of the Global Pain Association, I'm Ron Aaron Eisenberg. I want to thank all of you for joining us, and we will catch you in 2 weeks right here for the Global Pain Association's virtual education series. Have a great weekend, everybody.